What's happening, folks? Welcome back to Celtic Fans TV. Apologies for the delays this morning. A couple of technical difficulties that I had to fix before I could go live. But we're here now. The team has one change from the 11 that faced Aberdeen last weekend. Out goes Patrick Klimala and in comes Mohamed Elyounoussi. So the team in full is Scott Bain in goals. Back four, John Joe Kenny, Stephen Welsh, Christopher Ayer and Diego Laxalt. In midfield, it's Brown and McGregor. It looks like we're back to 4-2-3-1. I'm assuming Christie will be in the right-hand side. Turnbull will be in the 10 and Elyounoussi will play off the left-hand side. And then up top, it'll be February's Player of the Month, Odsonne Edouard. So get your questions in. Obviously, we did switch to 4-2-3-1 last weekend in the second half against Aberdeen. And then, to be honest, McGregor ended up having to go and play in the 10 because Brown and Sorrow dropped deeper. I think we know that John Kennedy is more aligned with Brendan Rodgers' style of play than Neil Lennon's. We know that Brendan Rodgers is a big advocate of 4-2-3-1. That's what he played for most of his time here. So it's not really a surprise to see us go back to that. A few comments about me just being at my bed, by the way. I'm just needing a haircut in it. It's lockdown life, taking its toll. The bench today for Celtic is Vasilis Barkas, Shane Duffy, Lee Griffiths, Albin Ayeti, Patrick Klimala, Ismaila Soro, Tom Rogic, James Forrest and Adam Montgomery. So James Forrest is back in the bench. That's massive for us. 5 months and 11 days since he picked up that injury that put him out against Riga. He's been a big miss for us. By no means do I think that he's been the sole reason why we've underperformed this season. I know of all the excuses that we've heard this season, that has been one of them. I don't think it's a surprise that we're going back to 4-2-3-1, as I've said already. Fraser's saying 4-2-3-1 to accommodate Forrest in the second half. Possibly, I think to have Forrest back, we know that he's a big player for us. He can't play in a 4-4-2 diamond, so I was expecting us to go back to 4-2-3-1 eventually at some point this season, especially when Forrest does come back. So if he does get game time in the second half, James Forrest, we're already in that setup for him to just come in and you would think play in his normal position. We did see him play for the left a couple of times early in the season, but you'd expect him to be back on the right-hand side today. Mohamed Elyounoussi is back in. I think he's our second top scorer after Odsonne Edouard. Again, the thing with Elyounoussi is he's been inconsistent. For all he's scored goals, we've played him out of position a few times this season, like we've done with just about everybody. It seems at some stage everybody's played out of position at some point. And that lack of continuity in the starting 11 has hampered everyone. But I suppose Elyounoussi back in his more natural position, if you like, today on the left-hand side. I'd like to see a good performance for him. I did initially think he could have been up top with Edouard if we were going to keep the diamond, but it definitely looks more like 4-2-3-1. Interesting again, John Kennedy yesterday reinforcing how much he wants to move to a more patient build-up. He talked about how clean the build-up was in the first half against Aberdeen last week, but then it dropped off in the second half. We stopped making angles, we stopped doing the things that we needed to do. I was actually listening to an interview with Pep Guardiola this morning, Rio Ferdinand, and Rio Ferdinand asked Guardiola, what do you think the big difference is between your team from your last defeat? I think it was against Spurs in November, and then the game against West Brom where they drew at home. Like, what's the difference? Because they've went and won 20 games in a row, I think it is now. Unbeaten in 27, set all these clean sheet records, and he says, what's the big difference? And Guardiola said before, up until the Spurs game and the West Brom game at home, it felt like everybody was running everywhere. There was too much movement. We were moving too quickly. And we just had to calm things down and get back to what we're good at. Because if you play at breakneck speed all the time, you can't change the rhythm and you can't shock the opposition. If you're constantly playing at top speed, it just doesn't work. Sometimes you have to calm things down, and then that means you can change the tempo and change the speed when you have to. And I think in some ways that's been the big problem for Celtic this season. I think at times we've had too much. How would you put it? We've attacked too directly. I know when Neil Lennon came in, he wanted to change the patient style of Brendan Rodgers, but I think at times we've been too direct. It's been shoot on sight at times. I think we have force things too often. And I think John Kennedy wants to get away from that. And I think we should see, again, hopefully some strides towards that today. We maybe seen it a little bit in the first half last weekend against Aberdeen, but I'd expect to see more of it today. Kyle Morton, I just want to bring in this question. What do you think about John Kennedy being a favourite for the job? Aye, I don't think he is a favourite for the job. He might be the bookies' favourite, but I think that's more of how the bookies treat an interim manager. I think if he's in charge for more than 8 or 10 games, he gets paid out as the next permanent manager. I like John Kennedy. I think he speaks very well. He was very generous with us in that press conference yesterday. He gave everybody a lot of his time. He clearly understands the game tactically, and he clearly speaks well. That doesn't get you points. It doesn't get you victories. It doesn't mean that you're a good manager. But it is refreshing to listen to him and to let him explain and talk about where the team is at and where the failings have been this season, because I don't think often enough this season in press conferences that Neil Lennon was candid and open enough and took enough responsibility for the failings of the team on the pitch. I don't want John Kennedy to get the job under any circumstances. I think we need a bigger name. I think we need someone with more experience. But I like him, and I think he speaks well. And I do wish him the best of luck in these final 7 or 8 games that he's got to be in charge of the team. But I certainly don't expect him to be the next full-time manager, and I don't want him to be the next full-time manager. Right, that's it for the live team news reaction. Like the video, comment with your own thoughts below. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. We'll be back at full-time with the normal full-time reaction straight after the game is finished. Today we've got Martin and Daniel. So enjoy the game wherever you're watching it, and make sure to join us at full time. Cheers.